My name is Clara Benson, I'm 28, and I was 7 months pregnant when I finally realized that being family didn't always mean being seen. I always thought love and attention were automatic in my household, but that illusion shattered on one April morning. It started with a message from my mom. Short, clipped, and full of that passive tone she uses when she's already made up her mind. Clara, don't make a fuss. It's just a baby shower. We'll try to make it up later. Her words felt hollow, like a rehearsed apology. I stared at my phone, my hand frozen mid-scroll through the group chat I had painstakingly created for my baby shower. Invitation sent. RSVPs confirmed. A month of planning condensed into spreadsheets, color-coded lists, and reminders. And yet, apparently it didn't matter. Across town, my sister Tessa had been posting on Instagram for the past week about her cat Whisker's first birthday party. Yes, a full-blown birthday. Balloons, custom cake, even a tiny hat for the cat. My stomach sank as I scrolled through the photos. Tessa holding Whiskers, my mother sitting in a chair with a glass of wine, grinning like this was the most important event of the year. The caption read, "Celebrating our littlest family member on their special day. #family first, #Whiskers turns 1. I blinked at the screen, disbelief making my chest tight. April 12th, the date of my baby shower. The same date I had booked the small cafe downtown, the one I had personally decorated with pastel balloons, fairy lights, and a cake I had spent hours choosing. I texted Tessa cautiously. You do know this is the same day as my shower, right? Her reply came almost instantly. Oops. Totally spaced, grinning face with sweat. Can't miss Whisker's big day, Clara. You know how it is. How it is. A cat's birthday outranked my first child celebration? My mom's voice echoed in my head. It's just a shower, we'll make it up to you. But it wasn't just a shower. This was supposed to be the first time my family officially celebrated me, the mother-to-be, the center of attention for just a few hours. And they chose a cat over me. I tried to reason, to breathe, to make sense of it all. I called my mom. Mom, this is my baby shower, the one I planned for months. Her sigh was heavy, tired, almost sarcastic. Clara, don't start drama. Tessa's been through a lot lately. You should understand that my first child, the one I had been carrying for 7 months, was secondary to a cat with a tutu and a cake. My voice trembled as I spoke, but I held it together. Mom, this is my child, my shower, and you're all going to Tessa's cat party instead. There was silence. Then that line. Well, Whiskers is our first baby too. It hit me like a punch I hadn't seen coming. My mother's calm, measured delivery masked the storm it stirred inside me. My sister's cat was their priority. My child was invisible. I didn't cancel the shower. I moved it to a smaller venue, paid for a new cake, and hoped that at least a few people would show. I sent reminders. I texted friends personally. But by the end of the day, out of 35 invitations, only 5 showed up. 5. A couple of coworkers, my best friend, and my partner, Ryan, who stood beside me like a silent shield. The empty chairs around the table felt like accusation. During the party, I tried to smile, to thank those who came, to make it feel special. But every photo I took, every laugh I forced, was shadowed by the Instagram feed from Whisker's party. My own mother was there, posting selfies with the cat, tagging Tessa, smiling as if nothing was wrong. That night, I came home, and Ryan stayed close. How are you holding up? He asked softly. I swallowed, tears threatening to spill. I'm okay. I just don't know if I can ever feel the same about family. He pulled me into his arms. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. They made their choice. And that was the turning point. I realized something crucial that night. I couldn't rely on them anymore. They had never really seen me, not as a person, not as a mother-to-be. They only saw convenience, someone who pays deposits, buys gifts, and supports Tessa's whims without question. The next morning, I logged into my bank account. My heart sank. A $1,200 charge for a Whiskers premium photo shoot had been attempted, processed under my mother's name, using my old card linked to a joint account. The audacity made my blood run cold. They weren't just ignoring me. They were trying to profit off me while pretending nothing happened. I froze the card, called the bank, and blocked all unauthorized transactions. Every action I took was methodical, precise. Ryan watched silently, his hand resting on my back, grounding me. For the first time, I realized anger could be a tool. Not screaming, not crying, not pleading, just action. I would protect myself, my child, and my home. They may have dismissed me, but I was done being quiet. And in that moment, the story wasn't just about a missed baby shower. It was about boundaries, about claiming your space in a world that refuses to see you. It was the beginning of something I hadn't yet fully understood, my own power. The day after the baby shower, my phone didn't stop buzzing. Messages from my mother, Tessa, even distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in months. "We're worried about you. Are you okay? Maybe you're overreacting." The words were carefully neutral, the kind of sympathy that's really a critique wrapped in cotton. They weren't asking about me. They were trying to control the narrative, to make me question myself, to gaslight me into apologizing for being hurt. I stared at the texts, one after another, trying to hold my stomach from twisting. Tessa's emojis, the laughing faces, the hearts, they were sprinkled through every message like salt on a wound. "Clara, you're being dramatic, grinning face with sweat," she typed. "It's just a party. Whiskers only turns one once. Only once." She didn't say my child only turns one once. She didn't say that the first time you hold your newborn, you need witnesses who love you unconditionally. She didn't say that a baby shower is a memory you cherish forever, and yet she took the spotlight from me. Ryan sat beside me on the couch, laptop open, watching me scroll through the messages. His calm presence was my anchor. "Do you want me to respond?" he asked, tone careful. I shook my head. "No. I need to process first. This isn't about a conversation anymore. It's about pattern, and patterns are easy to see when you've lived with them for years. Every holiday, I had been the one to organize, the one to pay, the one to smooth over fights. I was the invisible hand behind family photos, the quiet financier of Tessa's whims, the safety net for everyone except myself. I realized now that my mother had trained me to feel responsible for their happiness, while my sister had trained me to sacrifice for her ego. And suddenly, I wasn't willing to play those roles anymore. 2 days later, a package arrived. It was a small, elegant envelope with no return address. Inside was a receipt from a boutique pet store, $1,250 spent on a custom Whiskers birthday outfit and accessories. My mother's handwriting at the bottom. Just helping a cat while ignoring my child. My hands shook as I scanned the numbers. Each figure was a reminder that their priorities weren't just skewed, they were deliberate. I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. My old folders, the files I had saved years ago but never looked at, suddenly seemed relevant. Photos, emails, screenshots, texts between Tessa and friends, conversations that hinted at money being siphoned, manipulations disguised as family drama. Every time I thought I was imagining things, there was proof waiting in digital form. By the next morning, I had a plan. Not revenge. Not confrontation for the sake of drama. Protection. Awareness. Boundaries. I would show them that the era of silent compliance was over. It started with a simple but crucial step, documenting everything. Screenshots, timestamps, financial records, and even audio clips of conversations where I had been belittled or dismissed. Every detail mattered. I had to prove that this wasn't paranoia, that it wasn't a dramatic overreaction, that it was their pattern of manipulation and emotional abuse laid bare. Meanwhile, the family continued their attempts at casual control. My mother called multiple times from blocked numbers, each time leaving messages that were carefully calibrated. "You're being unfair. Tessa didn't mean to hurt anyone. We just want peace." Peace, in their language, meant submission. It meant ignoring my feelings. It meant taking my money and attention without acknowledgement or gratitude. And Tessa, she escalated quickly. Texts with laughing emojis, followed by accusations. "You're being cruel. Milo didn't do anything." Milo. That was her pet's nickname she gave to her cat, and she used it like a shield, using Milo as a weapon. Milo, the little family member, became her excuse to ignore me, to belittle my pregnancy, and to draw everyone else into her narrative. I refused to respond. Instead, I focused on my child, my home, and myself. I realized something critical. When you stop paying emotional ransom, the family reacts. That was the turning point. That night, Ryan suggested something I hadn't thought about. "Clara, if you have proof, if you know the truth, maybe it's time to show it." I hesitated. Not because I was scared, though I was, but because I had spent years being the peacemaker, the helper, the quiet daughter. But fear no longer dictated my actions. I made my decision. The next morning, I started organizing the evidence into a timeline. April 12th, the baby shower date. Weeks before, Tessa's posts about whiskers, receipts, transactions, texts, emails, every lie she had spun, every attempt to gaslight me, every act of manipulation, it was all there. And in the middle of organizing everything, a strange calm settled over me. I wasn't angry yet. I wasn't seeking vengeance. I was preparing to take control of the narrative, to protect my baby, and to finally show them the consequences of their choices. That night, I posted a single story on my private social media. A simple photo of my ultrasound captioned, "This little one will grow up knowing love doesn't come with conditions or guilt." It was quiet, but powerful. I didn't name names. I didn't attack. I just set the stage for the truth to come out. And as I lay in bed that night, feeling the baby kick, I realized something profound. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was breaking the cycle of invisible sacrifice, emotional ransom, and family manipulation. The story wasn't over. Not even close. But for the first time, I wasn't just a victim. I was the narrator, the protector, the one in control. The weekend arrived, and I felt a mix of nerves and clarity. I had sent the message. Neutral place. I want to talk. Let's heal. My mother picked a small French bistro downtown. White tablecloths, soft jazz, the kind of place that demanded composure. I booked the private back room because I needed walls, boundaries, and space for the truth to breathe. When they arrived, no one hugged me. No one congratulated me. No one asked about the baby. They sat like they were settling a bill. Tense, formal, cautious. My mother tried to start small talk. "Things got out of hand," she said, voice low, like she was protecting something. My father nodded, keeping his gaze on the folded napkin in front of him. Lydia, of course, sipped her wine and looked carefully composed, as if the entire world were watching her drama. I took a deep breath. "Out of hand?" I asked gently. Or maybe it was deliberate. The room froze. "I've saved everything," I continued. "Every message, every screenshot, every financial transaction. Your choice to prioritize whiskers over my baby shower wasn't an accident. Your attempts to manipulate me, to make me feel guilty, to control me, it's all documented." Lydia's lips parted in shock. My mother blinked rapidly, and my father shifted in his chair like he'd been punched. I reached into my bag and pulled out the hard drive I had spent the last few days organizing. The weight of it felt grounding, heavy with proof and empowerment. "I thought silence would protect me," I said softly. "I thought it might preserve the family. But silence only gave you more power. Now I'm done being quiet." I set the hard drive on the table, clicking it open. The projector flickered on, and a screen illuminated the wall. Files, folders, messages, they were all there. Screenshots of Tessa and Lydia laughing about my baby shower, emails planning extravagant gifts for the cat, even PayPal transaction histories showing unauthorized withdrawals from my accounts. The first folder opened, family drafts. Each document was worse than the last, edited text threads making me look unstable, audio clips manipulated to sound like I was aggressive, fake screenshots designed to make me seem controlling. My mother gasped, hand over her mouth. What is this?" "It's the truth," I said calmly. "Everything you try to hide, manipulate, or erase. Every lie, every attempt to gaslight me, every dollar you spent without permission, it's all here." Lydia's voice shook. "That's not fair. You're violating our privacy." I raised an eyebrow. "You want to talk about privacy, or should we talk about theft? About emotional manipulation?" She opened her mouth again, but my father held up a hand. His eyes, finally, were not pleading. They were seeing clearly. "Clara," he said slowly, we didn't realize." "No," I interrupted softly. "You realized perfectly. You just didn't care. For years, I gave, I helped, I sacrificed. Every family emergency, every favor, every holiday I was there. And now, when it's my turn, suddenly I'm selfish, ungrateful, dramatic." The projector flickered to another folder. PayPal statements, dates, amounts, notes labeled as shared groceries or family gifts, all linked to transactions for whiskers. $1,800 gone without permission. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't waver. Calmness had become a weapon. Lydia's wine glass trembled in her hand. You're crazy. This is over the top. I tapped the remote again. Emails appeared on the screen. Lydia writing to friends, mocking me, plotting to drain my resources quietly, planning how to make me look unstable in front of everyone. She turned pale. My mother's fork clattered against the plate. My father leaned back, silent. You tried to silence me with guilt, with lies, with public sympathy, I said. But silence ends today. You can no longer rewrite what's happened or pretend it didn't affect me. You can't erase this baby's first memories. You can't erase me. Lydia started to cry, loud and theatrical, mascara streaking down her cheeks. I didn't mean. You did, I said. Repeatedly, systematically. And I have proof. The final piece. Evan, Lydia's ex-boyfriend, stepped forward quietly. He handed a thick folder to my father. Screenshots, messages, emails documenting Lydia's threats toward him, attempts to ruin his career, a restraining order she'd never mentioned. The room went still, tense, suffocating with truth. You told them I was dangerous, Evan said softly. You lied. You made me seem unstable. But the evidence is here. The truth is here. Lydia collapsed further into sobs. My mother shook her head slowly, realizing that the carefully spun narrative she'd protected was unraveling. My father finally looked at me, eyes wide. Clara, we didn't. You didn't care to see the pattern until it was undeniable, I said gently. That's the difference. I'm raising a child now. I will protect them, just as I finally protect myself. I packed up the hard drive. Say hi to Whiskers, I said quietly. Then I stood and walked toward the door. No one followed me. No one apologized. Silence followed, heavy and real. Outside, Ryan took my hand, squeezing it gently. You didn't destroy them, he said. You survived them. And for the first time, I felt it. Clarity, power, and peace. The moment I stepped out of that bistro, I felt lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because the truth was out, undeniable and documented. Heavier because the world I had known, my family, the people I trusted, was shattered, and there was no going back. I sat down at home, Caleb beside me, and looked at my phone. Hundreds of unread messages already filled the screen. My social media accounts were buzzing. Not the usual polite birthday wishes or office chat, but strangers, women and men from around the world, responding to a story I had barely whispered. I opened my laptop and typed carefully, deliberately. No names, no accusations, just facts, just my story, my voice, my pregnancy photo, the ultrasound behind me, a simple caption. Some people call it love while they drain you dry. My family skipped my baby shower to throw a party for a cat. Here's what I discovered. Here's my truth. I hit post and felt the pit of my stomach twist. I wasn't seeking sympathy. I was seeking boundaries, clarity, acknowledgement. The first hour felt slow. Then my phone buzzed, a little alert. 10,000 views. Then 50,000. Comments pouring in faster than I could read. Your baby deserves a village. This could have been me. Thank you for showing what's possible when we stop tolerating toxic family behavior. Caleb wrapped an arm around me. It's okay, he whispered. You're not alone anymore. I smiled, a quiet, grateful smile. Because I wasn't. Strangers became witnesses. Women shared their own stories of being gaslight, drained, and undervalued. Men shared experiences with mothers and siblings who weaponized guilt. The messages were kind, compassionate, validating, and overwhelming. My heart ached with the intensity of it all. Within 24 hours, the video exploded. Over 300,000 views. Hundreds of media accounts reposted clips. The comments multiplied exponentially. The internet did what my family never did. It listened, it believed, it responded. Women tagged friends, saying, "You need to see this. This could be you." Men share their own experiences. Even strangers sent gifts, baby clothes, books, handwritten notes of encouragement. Your baby has a village, one card read. Then the backlash came. My mother's first response was careful, staged. A post on her profile, a dimly lit photo, soft smile, Bible verse. Caption: It's heartbreaking when one lie destroys a lifetime of love. Please pray for us. Comments immediately questioned her. People noticed the timing. People noticed the missing details. People were skeptical. Lydia posted next. Mascara-streaked face, Milo in her arms, caption. I don't know why Bonnie hates me. We've always been there for her. The contrast couldn't have been starker. My post was calm, factual, direct. Their posts were emotional, manipulative, designed to gain sympathy. And the world saw through it. People stitched their videos together with mine, highlighting the PayPal trails, the messages, the evidence. One viral comment read, some people prioritize animals over family, money over morality. Bonnie told the truth. By the second day, my post had crossed 500,000 views. The comments weren't just supportive, they were protective. Strangers, mothers, fathers, siblings, friends, they were validating me. They were reminding me that I had done the right thing. That my child would never be invisible, ignored, or treated as a convenience. The messages kept coming. Your family didn't show up. We did. We've all had to stand up to people who manipulate and gaslight. This is so brave. You're protecting your baby before they even arrive. I cried that evening, quietly on the kitchen floor. Not from sadness, but from relief. From validation. From understanding that my child would grow up knowing that love isn't earned through sacrifice, guilt, or manipulation. Love is freely given, chosen, safe. Then came my parents. My mother called repeatedly, blocked numbers, texted. My father left voicemails, each filled with subtle guilt. This pregnancy is changing you, he said in one message. Be careful who you become. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The internet had become my witness, my support, my village. By the end of the first week, my video had surpassed 1 million views. Strangers sent gifts, messages, and letters of encouragement. Podcasts and small news outlets reached out, asking if they could share my story anonymously. Therapy groups reached out, seeing the pattern of emotional abuse and validation through truth. I realized then that exposing the truth didn't just protect me, it empowered others. Mothers, daughters, siblings, anyone who had felt invisible, manipulated, or undervalued. They could see that standing up wasn't just possible, it was necessary. Caleb stayed silent mostly, his hand always on my back, grounding me. You didn't ruin them, he said again one night as we scrolled through the comments together. You survived them, and now you're stronger than ever. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to earn love through pain, sacrifice, or silence. The world was witnessing me, witnessing us, and my child would never have to feel invisible, ignored, or secondary. By the weekend, I launched a small channel, not dramatic, not accusatory, just stories about boundaries, family, money, and emotional honesty. Merchandise followed, small, witty, empowering phrases like, first babies matter, even human ones. It sold out in hours. Packages started arriving, tiny clothes, books, handwritten encouragements. Messages reminded me that this child would always have a village. And for the first time, the overwhelming weight of betrayal and isolation turned into empowerment and hope. My family might have tried to control, shame, and manipulate me, but the world had seen the truth. And that truth was mine to own, to protect, and to share. The day my family finally reached out after the viral post, I knew it wasn't about reconciliation, it was about control. I had seen this pattern before. Silence, avoidance, gaslighting, and then a sudden, dramatic attempt to reassert authority. My phone buzzed incessantly, calls from my mom, texts from Lydia, emails from Dad. All urgent, all demanding attention, all tinged with guilt. I didn't answer at first. I let them wait. I let them stew. Caleb watched silently from the couch, hand resting on my shoulder, grounding me. You don't owe them a response, he said. I nodded, taking a deep breath. My child's kick against my palm reminded me why I couldn't fold. This wasn't about them. It was about safety, boundaries, and truth. Finally, I responded with one message. Neutral place. Let's talk. I want closure, not chaos. My mother suggested a French bistro downtown. Soft lighting, calm music. I booked the private back room. I wanted control of the space, the narrative, the timing. I wanted walls between their chaos and my child's security. When they arrived, 10 minutes late as usual, there were no hugs, no congratulations, No soft smiles. Just their carefully curated expressions of remorse and superiority. My mother went first. Voice measured. Things got out of hand. "We never wanted this," she said. My father nodded silently. Lydia sipped her wine like she was performing for an invisible camera. I leaned forward, voice steady but sharp. "You mean using my card for $2,500 without asking? Stealing from me while prioritizing a cat?" Lydia flinched. "I already apologized." "No," I said, calm, deliberate. "You got caught. That's different from accountability." My mother's fork clattered against her plate. Dad's hands clenched. I could see them wrestling with the truth they had long ignored. I took a deep breath and reached into my bag, placing the hard drive from years ago on the table. Lydia's eyes widened. "That's mine. You can't. Remember Vegas?" I said softly. "You left it at my apartment. You trusted me to take care of it. Today I'm showing it. Not to shame, but to reveal patterns you refuse to acknowledge." I tapped a button on the remote. The projector flickered on. A folder appeared. One by one, files, screenshots, emails, and manipulated messages opened. Edited threads that made me look unstable. Audio clips selectively spliced. PayPal transactions labeled as shared groceries. Everything. The room went still. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's jaw tightened. Lydia stammered. "You can't. This is out of context." "It's not," I said evenly. "This is the context you've been creating for years. Gaslighting, theft, manipulation. You've been rewriting reality to control how others see me. And now I'm showing the truth." Another click. An email to her friend. "Milo's birthday is going to bankrupt Bonnie, and she won't even notice until May." Another. Threats to friends and coworkers if she didn't get her way. The evidence piled up on the screen, undeniable. Lydia's face went pale. Her mascara-streaked cheeks became rigid with anger and fear. My parents remained silent, absorbing the truth they had long ignored. "You think I'm cold for cutting you off," I said, voice low but fierce. "I'm not cold. I'm protecting myself, my child. And finally, I'm choosing love that doesn't cost me my sanity." Lydia lunged forward, hands trembling. "You're violating my privacy." "Who's violating whose privacy?" I countered, calm but piercing. "You manipulated, stole, and threatened. That's a violation. I'm exposing patterns, not personal secrets. The truth doesn't belong to you." My mother tried to intervene, soft voice trembling. "We're family. You can't." "No," I said. "Family doesn't demand loyalty while draining, controlling, and dismissing. Family stays when it costs nothing and still chooses you. You made your choice. I'm making mine." I stood, grabbed the hard drive, and packed it back into my bag. Lydia shrieked, accusing me of destroying the family. "You don't destroy anyone," I said quietly. "You did that yourself. I just stopped enabling it." Caleb remained quiet, watching, grounding. I turned to my parents one last time. "Say hi to the cat," I said softly. Then I walked out. No one followed. No one apologized. No one acknowledged the patterns. They assumed silence meant defeat. But silence had finally shifted into peace. That weekend, I made my first public video after the bistro confrontation. Calm, factual, no theatrics. I stood in my living room, ultrasound behind me. I narrated everything. No names, no shaming, just evidence, truth, and lessons learned. Caption: "Some people call it love while they drain you dry. Here's how to protect yourself and your child." Within 24 hours, the video exploded. Strangers messaged me. Gifts, letters, advice, solidarity. Women shared stories of toxic family patterns. Men shared stories of sisters or mothers using manipulation for control. The response was overwhelming, but validating. My village had grown. My child would never feel invisible or secondary. The weight of betrayal began to lift. For the first time, I wasn't walking on eggshells around my family. I wasn't fearing their manipulation or guilt trips. I had claimed my power, my voice, my space. I had set boundaries that were firm, public, and safe. And more importantly, I had done it before my child even arrived, so they would inherit love, safety, and validation, not shame. By the end of the week, I launched a small storytelling channel. No drama, no names, just lessons about boundaries, emotional abuse, and family dynamics. Merchandise, Small empowering phrases and support poured in. Packages arrived. Baby clothes, books, handwritten notes of encouragement. Your baby has a village. We showed up, one read. And for the first time, that felt more real than anything my family had ever offered. Caleb, always quiet, whispered one night as we watched the notifications flood in, you didn't ruin them. You survived them. And now your baby never will. And in that moment, I believed it. The silence after I blocked my parents didn't feel loud. It felt clean. No buzzing phone. No passive-aggressive messages disguised as concern. No emotional invoices disguised as love. Just quiet. And for the first time in my life, quiet didn't scare me. At my last prenatal appointment before maternity leave, the nurse smiled at me while checking my chart. Emergency contact, she asked casually. I didn't hesitate. My partner, I said. And honestly, a whole lot of people who chose me. She nodded like that answer made perfect sense. And it did, because sometime between the cat party and the confrontation at the bistro, my definition of family had shifted completely. Family wasn't obligation anymore. Family was choice. When I got home that afternoon, Caleb was assembling the crib. Instructions spread everywhere, one screw clearly wrong. He looked up and grinned. I think I built a modern art piece instead of a crib. I laughed. A real laugh, not the polite survival one I used with my parents. I sat on the floor beside him, handed him the right bolt, and felt my baby kick hard against my ribs. Strong. Confident. I pressed my palm to my stomach. Did you feel that? I whispered. Caleb nodded, eyes soft. They already know they're safe. That night, I opened the P.O. box I'd rented after the video went viral. I expected maybe a few letters. There were dozens. Handwritten notes. Baby blankets. Books with notes inside the covers. One envelope held a folded piece of notebook paper written in shaky handwriting. I missed my daughter's baby shower because I was too afraid to upset my own mother. Watching your story helped me finally choose my child. Thank you. I cried then, not the broken kind, but the releasing kind. Because this wasn't about revenge. It was about permission. Permission to stop shrinking. Permission to stop paying emotional rent to people who never planned to let me own space. Permission to say enough and mean it. The channel grew faster than I expected. Not because I was dramatic, but because I was calm, honest, grounded. I talked about boundaries, financial abuse, family scapegoats, and how pregnancy doesn't make you weak. It makes patterns impossible to ignore. Someone commented, you didn't become cold. You became unavailable for nonsense. I saved that one. 2 weeks before my due date, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was a single item, a onesie. White. Simple. Printed across the front. Loved without conditions. I didn't need to ask who sent it. I folded it carefully and placed it in the hospital bag. My parents tried one last time. A voicemail from my dad. His voice tired, unsure. We don't recognize you anymore, he said. This isn't how we raised you. I listened once, then deleted it. Because he was right. This wasn't how they raised me. This was who I became after surviving them. The night before I went into labor, I stood in the nursery alone. The crib was finished. The walls were soft green. A small bookshelf waited patiently in the corner. I thought about my childhood, how love always came with conditions, how affection was transactional, how silence was punishment and compliance was praised. I placed both hands on my belly and spoke aloud. You'll never have to earn love by bleeding for it, I whispered. You'll never compete with a cat, a favorite sibling, or someone else's comfort. You'll never be told you're too much for asking to be seen. My water broke 4 hours later. At the hospital, Caleb held my hand through every contraction. My chosen family waited quietly, respectfully, not demanding updates, just sending love when I was ready. When my baby was placed on my chest, warm and real and undeniable, something inside me healed in a way no confrontation ever could. This little human didn't owe anyone loyalty. They didn't owe anyone silence. They didn't owe anyone access. They were already enough. A week later, while rocking my baby at 3 a.m., I scrolled through the channel comments again. One message stood out. Your family skipped your baby shower for a cat, but you showed millions of us how to choose ourselves. Thank you. I smiled, because that was the real ending. Not the cat party, not the confrontation, not even the viral video. The ending was this. I broke a cycle. I chose peace over performance. And my child would grow up knowing that love doesn't disappear when you set boundaries. It begins there. Family isn't who takes from you and calls it closeness. Family is who stays when it costs them nothing and still chooses you. And this time, I was chosen.